We'd like to welcome you to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. We're here on January the 13th, 2011, at City Hall with the newest member of the Baltimore City Councilman, Pete Welch. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Donnie. I'm fine. How are you?
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you, Donnie.
Uh, was it easy road, tough road, getting in the door?
No roads are easy. I tell you, if you take an easy road, there's not much at the end of it.
Okay. Tell us about the selection process.
Well, the selection process is one the city council's had in for years, where city council has an interview process, interviews candidates, they meet, they make a selection based on what they received and looked at the interview, and they present that to the total body for a vote. It's the only process in place to hold an election under the current write-in rules that we have, and the cost of holding it is, the cost is excessive, and the time frame would probably be more than 30 days. But I think as time goes on and technology increases, the whole voting process is going to change. I think when you have secured uh, Facebook accounts, that individuals will be eventually voting on Facebook for candidates in any election,
Wow.
so that if a process for a vacancy occurs, within a matter of days, the candidates would be able to submit all their information online. The council member, as well as the general public, would be able to look at it, and in a matter of 4 or 5 days, they could make a selection and be done with it. But that's not there. That's not here right now. But I anticipate that to be a very equitable process and something that's coming toward us.
I have to put it out there 37 letters from the community. It was almost a Hail Mary that no one expected in this process. Not that you needed it, but it certainly added a positive light to your campaign, if you will.
Well, I'm no stranger to those people who wrote those letters or those community organizations, and I've been meeting with them over the last 20 years, all the changes in leadership within those organizations, all the individual requests and complaints that come into a council office. And when we receive complaints, I actually go out into the field and meet with these people, take a look at it, put hands on it, and make the call for resolution right then and there while they're there so they can see me addressing the problem. And that's not going to change with me in this council office as well.
Tell us more about your background. A lot of people don't know, and we should take a moment to thank your mom, former Councilwoman Agnes Welch, for years of service to not just to West Baltimore, but also to the broader city of Baltimore. However, I tend to think that you've been intricately involved at least for a couple of days now,
Well,
or
well,
prior to her
well,
stepping.
more than a couple of days. It's been more than a couple of
You
years, as a
said
matter
20
of
years
fact.
or so.
Yeah, it's been a while, and I don't come from just my mother being involved in this. It goes back to my great grandmother being involved in helping to uplift the communities after she was freed as being a slave and came from West Virginia through Tennessee to Baltimore, and we settled on a little street called Myrtle Avenue. And in that house lived my great grandmother, my grandmother, my aunt, all of us. The entire family was in that one structure, and we were intricately involved in that neighborhood. And it's interesting because while we were there and worked with conditions, and we left to move to our house in 1956 on Mosier Street and have been there ever since, that Murphy Homes was built, replacing our house on Myrtle Avenue. And it was Councilwoman Welch, my mother, who introduced the ordinance to tear down Murphy Homes and to build Heritage Crossing, which was under the Hope Six program by Barbara Mikulski, and allow 60% of the residents owning those properties, and 40% of the residents being Section 8 members of the community. A stalwart, wonderful, beautiful community then, and it still is now.
What would you like to see in the future for the Ninth District?
A lot, a lot. Education, housing, public safety. I don't think you can separate any of them. If a community looks good, the housing stock increases, you have better living conditions, you provide better educational opportunities for kids, you have fewer gangs, you have people who now compete on a much higher level for jobs, and you have careers. And you need to have those people as anchors in your community for a community to be empowered, be uplifted, and create better opportunities for both seniors, young people, middle age, everyone benefits from that kind of activity. And there are a couple things I can tell you right now. I think kids need to be in school longer because we're number 20 in the world, United States. And Baltimore City might be number one in the country, but that doesn't mean anything because we don't compete anymore with the guy next door. We compete with some kid in China.
Councilman, they say Maryland's #1 in the country, with Baltimore and Prince George is at the bottom of
Well,
the
we
24
need to be we
jurisdictions.
need to be at the top,
Amen.
and we need to go beyond Maryland statistics because we don't compete with kids just in our own state or
You're
our own
right.
city.
20th in the world.
That's right. That's right.
America.
That's right. That's right. And when I went to my daughter's graduation at University of Michigan, I heard very few American names at the doctoral level graduating. And that doesn't speak well for what we're doing with our kids in our communities. We have to empower them and help them to achieve higher levels of education, higher level of job placement, and keep them engaged constantly so that they can go forward and create better communities for all of us.
Any closing words?
Only that you can't do it alone, no matter how great your legislation is. You have to have people, neighbors, people in your community work with you. And together you can do anything.
There's so much more to you, Councilman. Is that all we're going to get out of you this time?
Oh, come back. I'll give you anything you want.
Good stuff. Thank you very much for your time, and congratulations. Again, thank you to your mom for a wonderful career of service.
And Donnie, let me suggest something. Get the council lady on here one day because there's some things that the community doesn't know that she's done. Her protests and her arrests with South Africa when apartheid was there, how they actually brought Rap Brown to St. Peter Claver Church and hit him for a week or two. A lot of things that just aren't generally known. It'd be kind of exciting for people to know some of those things.
It would be our
And it's
pleasure.
not a political ploy. It's just things that would be
She,
historically.
she deserves to be on it. Whatever
Yeah.
we can do, please
Yeah.
set it up, and we'll be there with the camera.
Thank you, Donnie.
Thank you for all you do, and again, congratulations to Baltimore's newest council member, Pete Welch. Or you go by Bill Welch.
You got your choice.
Keep watching BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the
Thank
truth.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.